Welcome back to In the Real with your host Eric. Got a little Curiosity playing in the background by, I believe it's Alexander Nicarda. Boy, I'll butcher that last name without a problem there. It's a pretty nifty tune. Found it. It's a non-royalty music on a website called freestockmusic.com. I'm going to have a link in the description. Won't play the whole song here because, well, it's just too much. And sometimes when I read their permissions back and forth, it's really hard to determine if it's okay or not. So I'm going to obey the rules and certainly put the credit in the description below. And you're more than welcome to take a visit. And we'll stop her there. So what are we at here? Week 2.5, 3, whatever it might be, for our stay-at-home situation. I call it the contagion. I'm tired of hearing COVID-19 or coronavirus. It's getting a little old. It's gotten old. I mean, just hearing about it. I understand that it's in existence and it's here in the world. If you hear a little click there, just a few seconds ago, I muted and I had to clear my throat. Other noises you might hear, some dogs running around, but I'll try to keep them quiet. At any rate, I'm going to talk about a few things amongst the stay-at-home, keep it clear deal. A couple things that we'll bring up in this news and information. I visit social media. I don't necessarily participate in it all that much because it's challenging to deal with what some people post. Now here's some background on social media. Number one, I've always viewed it as it not being real. It's not real life. It's fake life. It's electronic life. It isn't part of me. Now, I know I've heard some people say it's an extension of themselves. It's part of them. And okay, I am concerned about that with some people because it's a little too much of them. And maybe more than they think or more than they know. If they can handle it, fine. If they can't, that's where things get a little hairy. What we forget in our society and in the world today as human beings is we're emotional creatures. Now, I know there's some exceptions. I'm one of them. But when you read things, think about reading a book. You've heard people say things like, the book's better than the movie. I find that a horrible comparison because when you read a book, you're putting your own images in there, your own emotions. And so a movie is a depiction by somebody else, and then they show it to you. Of course it's going to be different, and you may not like it. Well, that's fine, but it's an unfair comparison. It's that whole oranges to apples thing. So when you're talking about social media, you're talking about the same thing. You're reading words on a screen. It's no different than reading a book. You have no idea the intent behind those words, the emotion behind those words, if they were serious or not, because you can't read sarcasm. And I know people try to do emojis and stuff like that, but I'm sorry, you're just not going to get that across the same way. But we do it. Text messages, social media, mentioned more than once. You put the emotions in it and get angry about something or sad about something, or you add definition to it that is not what's being depicted by the other person, and everything gets out of whack. You need to have a diary to understand what they mean specifically. So on social media, when people post things politically, people just get angry and whipped up. I'm going to give an example here. I am not a person that knows a lot about what's going on politically. I was in the military. I understand my position in the world the same as in the military. You know what you know. And the things above your pay grade, you might question, but it's none of your business. If you want it to be part of your business, then you need to earn your way up the pay grade, and then you'll know what's going on there. So, jumping right to the top, our governor of Minnesota. I don't know what he's doing in his office. He's been talking to us about what's been going on here and what we're doing in Minnesota to flatten the curve. And I think we're doing a good job. As far as the stats go, we're doing fantastic. So, wonderful. The President of the United States. People post so much negative stuff about this guy. I got sick and tired of hearing about the President of the United States before he became the President of the United States. And it's always negative. It's nothing ever positive. And it's too much. It's ridiculous. And you don't have to like the guy. Fine. Hate him. I don't care. Nobody cares. Okay? You don't know what it takes to run the country. We all want to believe and think we know what it takes to run the country, but we don't, because we're not there doing that job. Okay? He's there doing that job. If you think you can do better, run for president, and you do it. That being said, I'll do it. I don't want to, but I will. I don't think I can get away with doing the first things I do, which is fire everybody, including senators and congressmen, House representatives. I know that's something you can't really do, but that would be the first thing I want to do. I have a view of politics that is different, and my thoughts are serve the people. You're there to serve the general population, all of them. Not just the select few that voted for you, and not just the ones that throw you money. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't be taking any kind of monies from any companies, any groups. If they send you money, it goes in the general fund with the rest of the money that comes in from taxes for the American people. It's not your money. You're there representing us. I don't know how it is you get paid $200,000 a year. I think the president gets $275,000, not our president. He didn't take any money. But I don't know how you do that for 8 years and leave there a billionaire. That doesn't add up because people are throwing you money. That's how you do it. I know I kind of went off on a couple little things there, but it doesn't make any sense. It's not realistic. It's not correct. And so you shouldn't be there doing that, in my opinion. And I think because of the way things are set up, that's why things don't get done very well. You're there because you got there on a majority vote. And now that you're there on a majority vote, serve the public, not just the majority that voted you there. And I know, hate Donald Trump, good for you. I don't hate the guy. I don't like the guy. I think I've mentioned this probably 10 times in other podcasts. I don't care for his character. And it's not that I even know the man. It's the online persona. I don't take it all seriously, but after a while, you have to understand the world is seeing that. And that doesn't look bad. That doesn't look good for the country. I'm part of this country. I don't want that opinion to be what's on people's minds in other countries. So that I don't care for. So I guess I can't even say I dislike the guy. I don't know the guy to dislike him. There's things about him that I don't care for. Now, is he doing a good job in our country for this, I guess, pandemic? I hate even calling it that. I think he is. I think we stepped up to the plate. We're doing what we can. We're moving forward with protecting our citizens, and that's wonderful. Now, on that note, a lot of people I've been reading, social media stuff again. We should be giving people this much money, that much money. Where's the money coming from? It's coming from here, going to there. We're getting $1,200, and everybody else is getting $38,000. Corporations, stuff like that. Now, I don't know if that's accurate. I have no idea. I haven't done the research on that. But when it comes down to it, understand how things are run. Now, if there are companies getting big chunks of money from my tax dollars. I have a problem with that. I don't even want the $1,200 because I know they're going to want it back. And that means your taxes are going to go up. They have to. It's like an insurance company. We pay for insurance, but if it's our fault, our rate goes up because they want the money back, which is kind of strange to me because it's not their money in the first place. We gave it to you to pay for these things. How is it I got to pay more now? That's why I paid you for these incidents that come up. So there's questions to that. Maybe I don't understand it. Okay. Well, the tax is the same thing. When we talk about, like Bernie Sanders is out. Thank goodness. That guy is frightening from what I've heard. He wants to give everything away for free. Nothing is free. And I think people misunderstand that. The government should pay for it. Where do you think they get the money? It's not just printed and given away. That's not how the money works. They get the money from the taxpayer. And they don't get enough, taxes go up. It's just that simple. Well, eventually you have to keep paying more taxes and more taxes. That means you get less for you. Your bills still come into play that you have to pay. And if they're taking more of your money, that makes it more challenging for you to pay your bills. Now, maybe some people are like, oh, I can afford my bills, that's great. Yeah, but what about the time of your life when you want to retire? That money disappears. If I'm saving $10,000 a year now, and they start taking half of that, now I'm only $5,000 a year. Okay, that's no good, because now in 10 years, instead of having 100 grand, I only have 50,000. And things are just getting more and more expensive. See, so nothing's going to be free for anybody. And if you really want everything to be free for people, then you start giving your money to the people you think should have it. You don't let people just come in your fridge that you don't know, they're strangers. You don't do that. So allowing people to have free stuff is just the same way. Now, this is just getting too political, and I'm going on tangents, and that's not my point of this podcast here today. We want to talk about where we're at in the world with the situation happening. So let's just end the whole political thing on people need to just calm down. Stop feeding that negative stuff online and social media about our political leaders. Make a statement that is logical and end it there. Don't put the fake stuff out there. I've seen so many things that are just not even true. People bend things, like the mass graves in New York. Somebody was blaming Donald Trump like he's doing this. No, he's not. The state of New York is doing that. He runs the country, not the state of New York. And they're not doing it in a secretive way. They're doing it for a reason there. And you need to do some research on it. And I didn't do a lot of research. I just got some quick gist about the situation. So I might be way off base here. I don't know. But I can reassure you, one video I saw posted on Facebook blaming Donald Trump, trying to secretly hide this stuff, is not true. But that's what this particular person does. They feed into this. It's just terrible. It's unfortunate, really. But yeah, it shows more about the person posting it than it does about what they're posting. So think about that. So yeah. Anyway, don't feed into that. You know the whole adage. If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Yeah, we should probably include that in social media. So let's just take it from there. Be positive. Have a better thought process going on in the world, in your online presence, your social media presence, all the way around. So let's move forward there. In social distancing, physical distancing, whatever's being called nowadays. I had was talking to some people about that, my family members, my children and whatnot. For me, in a public way, this isn't a problem for me. I'm loving it, because when I would go to a store and stand in line, I was 6 to 10 feet away from somebody in front of me. I didn't get right up on people, and then the people right behind me were like inches away, and it just bugged me. It's like, why do you need to be this close to me in the first place? You're not going to get to the front of the line any faster. You're in a store, and there's somebody checking out. Then the next person gets checked out, and then the person after that, and then myself, and then you're. It's not going to go any quicker if you're riding up on me. So it's like, back off. I don't want to see their personal stuff. I don't want you seeing mine. Get away from me. But people weren't like that. Now they are. It's just awesome. I'm loving it. I'm not a handshaker. I don't like shaking people's hands. Now, there's exceptions to that. Women, I'll shake their hands. They don't bother me quite as much. But guys, I just hate it because I see guys in bathrooms and I know what they do. It's just disgusting. They do their business and just walk out without washing their hands. I've seen it in airports 100 times. They touch done their business, don't wash their hands. You know how many times they've probably done that to that luggage? And what's growing on that? Nonetheless, that they just made a fresh donation. It just is. So now there were some talk. We may not ever shake hands again. I doubt that. We're a social entity. People are going to shake people's hands. But I think it's not going to be frowned upon quite so much, which I'm excited for because I've heard some bad things coming back. It's just rude. It's like, no, it isn't. I don't want to touch you. Why is that rude? I wouldn't expect you to do something against your comfortable feeling zone, and it's not comfortable for me. And people have argued back, yeah, but they feel alienated. Well, that's their choice. I'm not making them feel that way, and I'm not suggesting that they do feel that way. They should ask questions then. Why don't you want to shake my hands? I'm a germphobe, and I'm not comfortable, So, yeah, it's exciting for me. So, yeah, and I stay at home most of the time anyway. I go to the store, get my stuff, come home. I've got a lot of curtains sewn. I've been sewing some masks for people. I've been, building furniture, all my hobby stuff I have been doing, working on my yard, fixing other things, refurbishing my dust collection system outside. It's just, I'm enjoying it. A bunch of stuff I'd have been doing anyway. And now I got time to do this, spacing out my hobbies a little bit. So what to do after the quarantine? We mentioned this the last time we were talking here on In the Reel. Things are probably not going to go back to what they were. And talking a little bit about that now, about our social interactions. You have to understand, things are different. And once you open this can, there's no closing it up with the contents back inside. Businesses are going to be different. Hospitals, there's an example right there. They make most of their money on elective surgeries. Elective meaning non-emergency. I should clear that up. If you have to get something fixed that's covered under your insurance, that's still relatively elective. Now, if it's life or death, no, that's not elective. That's, has to get done. So there's a fine line there, and I'm not trying to split hairs on what that means. Just understand they're only doing things that are necessary now. So they're losing tons of money. That means their employee base has to change because they can't afford to employ the people they had before this situation. And that's top to bottom. That's not just nursing staff and doctors. It's IT people, call centers, management, caseworkers, housekeepers, cafeteria workers. I mean, it's going to be a lot. And we're just talking about one industry there. Think about the restaurant industry, the food and service industries. There are restaurants that follow a model of a dining room, maybe having some dine-out pickup services, but not necessarily delivery services, and staffed for busy nights, Friday night, Saturday night, the holiday coming up. I actually completely forgot about it till one of my sons called me, Easter. It had been huge brunches, reservations made. I mean, all of that is being lost now, which was in their model of income. And now it's not happening. So when this all started to turn back around, and we're opening all these food industries up, these restaurants. They need the money from the patrons to purchase the products, or excuse me, the materials to make the products to, sell to the patrons and pay the people. I mean, this is just a circle thing, another industry there, just like the hospital. You need the money coming in to purchase the material, to make the products, to sell to the patrons. It just goes round and round. And that's going to take a while to come back, I think, because of fear. And that's going to make a lot of struggles, unfortunately. And some people will be a little more reliant on, hey, I'll just have my stuff delivered. Well, that's really nothing wrong with that until you consider they have people working in the restaurant that need a paycheck. And when they're not there, the patrons aren't there, they can't afford to pay these people. And then they're sent home. So, again, another industry there that's going to be hurting. Pardon me. I didn't hit the mute button there, sorry. So what are we going to do after this? We need to get back to what I guess you could classify a normal as what normal can be, as close as we can and as soon as we can. And that means getting out and helping businesses. It's doing your part in that world. But then again, a lot of us are going to be affected by our jobs. A lot of furloughs taking place. There are a lot of companies cutting pay. People aren't going to be able to afford to do the things that they were starting to afford to do. Our economy was doing really well. And before that, it wasn't all that bad, but now it's gonna take quite a shift. We're not gonna know where that stable place is for a while. So, we need to be patient with that. And because of that, people get frustrated and their worry goes up, their anxiety goes up. So we need to know as an individual that's happening to everybody. So relax and don't take it out on somebody because they're in the same situation, might even be worse than you. Just consider that. So what am I going to do? What am I going to be able to enjoy? Oddly enough, even though I'm not the people kind of person out in public, and that's kind of strange to put it that way, only because I volunteer in hospitals, and I enjoy, interacting with people. That's really not a problem. There's just certain aspects of things that I have a hard time with, and is dealing with stupidity. And often people lose their heads when they're like in a shopping mall. They don't pay attention where they're going. They don't look before they move. And it's just all about them. And it's like, come on, you're not the only person on the planet. And yeah, we all want to act like this planet's here for ourselves, but it's not. So be considerate. And that's missing, I think, heavily in the world. But that aside, I enjoy walking in the malls, window shopping, looking at things, enjoying fashions of people that actually take care of their appearance. The whole raggy look and sneakers garbage and not putting some effort into yourself. And of course, I'm talking about when I'm looking at women because that's what I enjoy looking at. I don't look at guys. So I'm sure there are women that look at guys and go, geez, take care of yourself. See, it's the same way. I like to believe it's a two-way street there. Or if maybe you, as a male, like looking at males, fine, whatever. And female to female, whatever your deal is. I'm sure it exists the same for other people as it does me. I hate that attention to oneself. It just is so much of that. People going out in their PJs and slippers. It's like, come on. I can understand that happening because you're busy, but it's almost for everybody. And not everybody is that busy at the exact same time. Maybe we are. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, and that's not going to be wrong before. But I enjoyed that, walking around the mall and just people watching and window shopping. It's good exercise. And I was going to the gym for a few months, and I was starting to feel a lot better, just physically. And man, that just bummed me out that I got locked out. So I'm going to be excited to go back to that. Going to movies. I enjoy the movie theater. It's another stressful thing to do because of the way people act in a movie theater. Being loud, obnoxious, talking during the movie, having their phones out. Oh, gosh, it's so stressful. You're in a dark theater for a reason. Because the movie's more enjoyable that way. You turning on that big screen on your phone, no matter how low you put that light, is on. And there's something about the theater experience that was actually talked about. And I can't remember who mentioned it. I think it was goodness. I'll remember his name. Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford. I've been watching a lot of stuff about him lately because I'm taking a note here. He is what I find to be an intriguing person in the history of his career, where he started and where he is now. But he's got some wisdom and some interesting philosophies. The movie experience in a theater is something that is being overlooked. And the experience is a group of people, strangers, are watching and getting this connection to a movie, whether it be positive, negative, happy, sad, the emotions behind it. You're experiencing it all together, and you're strangers, but you're experiencing the same thing at the same time. And again, not everybody experiences the same. There's exceptions. Some people don't get things, but that's happening together as a society, and it's an exciting feeling. Allowing that vulnerability to happen around strangers all at the same time over something that was put together by a bunch of actors, a writer someplace, and a director trying to bring it all together, and a bunch of producers and everybody in the background, the whole crew and everything. It's brought together in this motion picture for us to experience together. So it is fun to go do that. You can sit here, do it at home, around the people that live in your house or by yourself, whatever the situation is, on a computer, on a phone, on a tablet. But the movie thing, that is different. And it's being lost. And this situation now, I fear, is going to really disturb that. And I hope it does not. Because I enjoy going to the movie theater. Especially now, they're so comfortable, and the sound and the picture is fantastic. So, yeah, I'm going to enjoy being able to do that again. So, some other big things I want to do right before this happened, actually, and I want to say February. In February, I started looking into planning a trip to Disney World. I've never been to Disney World. And I had a strong opinion about, I'm never going to go there. The amount of people, it's the hype, the expense, $100 and some just to go into a park and ride some rides. Come on, it's a joke. And then the food there is probably way out of whack for price. It just seemed to me like a ridiculous thing to do. And then when I started checking into the cost of it, I was like, oh man, this is outrageous. For the amount of money to go to Disney World. I could take an international trip, a very nice international trip. So it was really tough. But then I did my due diligence and spoke to a few people that had been to Disney World a long time ago, more recently. And I started looking at people's videos of visiting there in the different parks and reading about things, experiences, and so forth. And I was able to establish some interest, some excitement. So, long story there, but to get to the point I'm making is I started looking into booking a trip to Disney World in Florida. And I was anticipating going in May. Well, that's not happening now, but when everything comes back, I'm hoping to still be able to do that and experience the things that I started checking into and that I want to experience. Hopefully it doesn't change so much that the things that I found an interest in disappear. So kind of the Galaxy's Edge areas where I want to go, the Star Wars stuff. So yeah, we talked a little bit about my Star Wars nerdity a while back, and it's been growing exponentially lately. So yeah, that could still happen this year, but the likelihood's pretty low at this point, because I don't want to go there and get rained on. It's definitely not my. So yeah. So I talked a little bit about the projects I've been tackling so far, which has been fun and exciting. Getting a shelf for the back of my new sofa, and I have a place to set stuff. It's like a sofa table, but a little bit more elaborate. It's going to have a power station on it and things like that. So it's kind of cool there. Some accent lighting. Beyond that, I'm not going to talk too much more about my woodworking. Got a lot of projects that I've started drawing out. So it's definitely better than the computer hobby I have, because that gets expensive and it's way too fast. So the woodworking takes some time. Yeah. So in this situation was problematic. I'm sure there's a lot of problems people are having internally, emotionally, even physically. It's hard to get motivated to go do things that you can do, like go for a walk or ride a bicycle. The weather has been going up and down, and right now we're in a real big down. I mean, I was going to do more yard stuff, but the overnight low started getting a little freezing again. It snowed here yesterday, I think it was. Just like, oh man, this is just, springtime's here, but so let's get the springtime temperatures, So that's kind of frustrating and problematic to me. But talked about the movies and the mall stuff and the things like to do in there. But I'm missing my family. Here's something really, really interesting. Right when this lockdown situation, I hate to call it lockdown, I guess it's a little dramatic calling it that, but when this stay-at-home situation came to light, I was planning a day for my family to come over. I was going to make a nice lunch dinner thing, play some games, have some visiting, and then this happened, and to protect everybody, it was like, all right, let's not do this now. Don't want to group the younger and the older and the ones with pre-existing conditions and the ones that are really exposed often, and it could turn into a disaster for us, and we don't want that. So it was hard to cancel that, actually, because thinking at the time it was just a couple weeks. Yeah, we can postpone, but unlikely. It's going to go longer than anticipated. And really, you got to judge by, how did China do this? How long did it last for them? Well, that's about what you can judge here. It's going to last that long or longer because we're trying to flatten that curve out so we're not impacted so much. So it could extend even longer than we anticipate. So it was like, geez, so when am I going to see my family? So that was really a struggle. I miss my children. I miss my dad, and it's unpleasant to experience that. That I don't like. I can't even go over there and visit them. I could. It's just risky to do that, and it wouldn't be worth it if somebody got very ill and it turned out poorly. So it isn't worth the risk to do that. Scratching off my notes here and write down stuff that I could talk about, and otherwise I'll sit here and stare off and have a lot of dead time. So yeah, that'd be that there. Some other stuff in the news we've been seeing is reports of people being filthy, throwing their dirty gloves on the ground and their masks. You go to the store, you put gloves on, and let me tell you, folks, for those of you that don't realize it, you are not using those protective items correctly. You're just not. There are things called cross-contamination, and they happen very quickly and very easily. And to reduce that, you go through a lot of PPE, personal protective equipment. That's what that is. And you don't realize how much that you go through. And so when you drive to the store and you got that mask with you, that mask that you were using for the last 2-3 days, you've touched it, you've already contaminated your hand because what you're breathing in and out of there is collecting stuff. So you're already at a loss. Now let's just say it's brand new. Well, if you took it out and you set it on something, it's contaminated. You don't know what was on that. Well, let's just say it was clean enough. You put it on your face, great, you adjust it. You put your gloves on. Wonderful. You get out of the car, you grab your bag and your phone and all this stuff. Well, you've already contaminated the gloves. And you're going to transfer that onto everything else you touch. Now, I know in the selfish world we live in today, you don't care about spreading your germs. Well, we're being as cautious as we can. And if you're not wearing gloves, you're going to spread them anyway. So at that point, yeah, what does it matter? Okay. You go in the store, you grab a cart, you start pushing stuff around, you grab this, you grab that. Well, just think now. You've already touched your personal stuff, contaminated your gloves. You put it on the cart. You've been grabbing groceries and stuff, picking through food, putting it back. You're spreading your germs. And what do you think other people have been doing? Same thing. That's how contamination works. Now, this is where you really foul up. You touch the mask. You adjust it. Well, you've touched your face now. You have just transferred all the stuff you've been getting on that glove onto your face, onto that mask. You scratch your forehead, you scratch your head, your hair, you rub your neck a little bit. You scratch your wrist, you grab your phone. All of this stuff that you just touched that other people have touched now on your personal stuff anyway. And you put it all in your groceries, all the items you're purchasing. You put them all in the bag or the box or whatever you're bringing home with you. You get out to your car, unlock your door with your keys, your remote, your phone, however you unlock your car. You touch the door handle, you open the doors, you unload your stuff. All that cross-contamination we talked about you're doing, other people are doing, are on those gloves, and you just put it on all your stuff and put it all over your car, on your keys. You get in the car, you think you're being sly, you take the gloves off, you drop them on the ground, you grab those keys you touched with those gloves, now it's on your hand anyway, put it in the ignition, touch the steering wheel, it's all over your car, you didn't do yourself any good, all you did was isolate it into your car. Oh, and let's decide to now take this mask off. And you do it by you grabbing the front of it. Now you got more stuff on your hands. And you put it in your pocket, you put it in your purse, you put it in your center console. And then you keep touching your steering wheel and your shifter and your radio and your phone and your purse and the door handle. You've just cross-contaminated all of your stuff with everybody else's germs. And you made a mess by throwing gloves in the parking lot that somebody else has to come pick up now. You do it with a sandy wipe. All this junk If there's anything you need to learn from the situation that we're in right now, is you being filthy is the biggest problem. You as an individual. Now, I mentioned I'm a germphobe. I'm probably the cleanest person on the planet that I know, and I'm still filthy just because I'm a human being and I'm filthy. That's what we all are. We're all dirty. We all emit biological material. It's just going to happen. So don't be that fearful. But now I'm not saying, hey, go lick door handles and drink out of bottles and put them back. That's just ridiculous. You know, there are people doing those silly things. But to use this PPE, the money you spent on that, take it away from people that really need it. And then you're misusing it and harming yourself anyway. It's ridiculous. You would have to have so many pairs of gloves with you. You go through a box in a day to not cross-contaminate something. It'd be ridiculous. And the biggest problem is the masks. Because all that stuff you're sucking in and breathing and it's filtering out, when you touch that, you're done. So you gotta think about that. And if you just litter on the ground, somebody has to pick that up. So think about this. People misunderstand what fair is in the world. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to this. It's not fair. This is not fair. That's not fair. When something bad happens to you, you think it's not fair. Well, yeah, you can be mad at the cosmos for that not being fair. It's just the way it happens. It's nobody's fault. But you doing something intentionally that is going to cause some harm or somebody else to have to do something, that's not fair. Because let's think about it. If you were put out in the parking lot of a grocery store or a big box store, anywhere, to pick up all the filth people left behind, you would not think that's fair. Why do I have to pick it all up? Well, if somebody said he wanted it on the ground. Yeah, but I'll just pick up mine. It's not fair for me to clean up after other people. That would be the thought in your mind, I would assume. Well, it's not fair for you to have to do that. Why is it fair for somebody else to have to do it? Behind you. Think about that. We all want to complain about things being fair to everybody, but yet, from our own personal side of the fence, we don't think about how it's unfair to other people. Only ourselves. That's a horrible thing. Don't do it to me because that's not fair, but if I do it to you, it's okay. And that's only for blatant things. You know, that's the only time that ever comes into play where somebody goes, well, that wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be right, it wouldn't be fair. Yeah, you're right. But there are tons of other little things too that wouldn't be right or fair either. And we don't take that into consideration. That's the selfishness in humanity. It's unfortunate, but it would be unfair if I get sick, so I'm just going to drop these gloves on the ground from all these other filthy people. No, you're filthy too. I'm filthy. We're all filthy. Do your best. Keep things clean. That's what you should do. That would be fair to everybody. You go to the bathroom, whether you're at home or in public, wash your hands, use soap. That's what it's there for. If you don't have soap in your bathroom at home for you, yeah, it's for you. It's not just for your guests that come over. It's also for you. That's why I don't generally eat at other people's houses. I don't know how clean they are. I know how clean I am. I'll do it for my own food, no different than I'm for anybody else. Things are clean because I want them to be able to trust me. They wouldn't know one way or the other, but I would. That's being fair. I ran out of my notes there. That's about all I wanted to talk about at this point in time. We've got a weekend coming up. As I mentioned, I guess it's Easter time. So for those of you that celebrate this holiday, I wish you the best. Enjoy it the best that you can. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but if you're going to gather in a church somewhere, that's going to be dangerous. There's no spirituality that's going to prevent physical illness. And this is just for me. I'm not insulting you. I'm not saying you're wrong for believing that. Hey, you want to believe that? Take your chances. That's your business. I've got nothing for that. I only speak from myself, for myself in that note in religion. I've had people say, "Oh, my relative was in the hospital and they weren't doing very well, and so many people prayed and they were okay." It's like, oh yeah? You think that's what helped? Yeah. What else? It's like, well, maybe they just got better. How about that? How about the doctors? Well, my God or whoever I prayed to helped the doctor. It's like, well, no, actually schooling probably did, in my opinion, but all right. You didn't suddenly find a new treatment for the situation. The situation was treated the way they map out treating it. And it worked, as far as I'm concerned. But hey, if you need to believe that situation is there, great for you. And then the questions come back to me, why don't you think it worked? Well, I had a sick family member when I was a kid. I used to pray 2-3 times a day, crying to my pillow at night for this sick family member, which was my mom, to get better. We had a whole church praying for her. Never got better. So then their argument was going to be, well, God had a different plan. I'm like, oh yeah? So your relative was more important than mine to your God? I don't buy that. So yes, I was raised in a religious house. And I had a lot of questions then, and I still do. But again, I don't say you're wrong for believing what you believe. I don't want anybody to take that as the message I'm passing along, that I think you're wrong. You're not. That works for you great in any aspect of it. That's wonderful. I come in contact with a lot of different people from different religious backgrounds, and I ask questions because I'm curious. And my curiosity is what they believe and how they believe it, and what in that works for them, and what about them allows that to work for them. I want to understand that. It doesn't work for me. I still have the questions and the belief. And that's, again, for me. I'm not putting anybody down for that. I can take every religion and say, oh, there's similarities between this one, this one, this one, and this one. It's a different name. Same concept. I could just narrow it down to the golden rule. Treat everybody appropriately. Isn't that what religion's talking about? But, I'm not trying to get religious here. It's not a place I go because I can't speak intelligently enough to that, in my opinion. I don't subscribe to that. But that being said, if you celebrate the Easter holiday coming up, I wish you a happy Easter. I don't know of. Oh wait, there's some. Is this Good Friday or was that last Friday? And maybe that's part of. I think that's part of the same holiday. So, hopefully that turned out well for you. Just the same. I don't know of any other holiday during this period of time. So, if you do celebrate some other holiday during this period of time, wish you the best there as well. So that's great. I would have asked, actually, one of my volunteer positions that I go to. I work with some high school students, and quite a few of them are of the Muslim faith. And so I get a lot of information about that religion from them, intriguing on the things that they do and the things they celebrate and how they do that. It's interesting. And the differences in explaining the same celebration from different people is also intriguing. It's not that it's so different, vastly different, and completely backwards of one another. It just, there's different things about it on how they choose to celebrate it. Is probably a better way to word it. Some of them are very focused on the traditional religious aspect of it. Some of them are focused more about the family aspect of it and the traditions kind of there. Some of them have, I'll say, Americanized it and kind of slid back from some of it, but kind of participate. It's intriguing information. So had I been able to volunteer the last few weeks, I probably would have asked them about this particular holiday and what they do and stuff like that. It would have been fascinating, but that didn't happen. On that note, I will say this probably comes to about the end of our show today. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my ramblings, and tell your friends and family to listen to this podcast. I'm trying to be a little bit more regular with it. I keep promising that or saying that. I hate to say it's a promise, but I do what I can. Subscribe to In the Real here on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook. I know I have a Twitter account there too, and I don't remember the password, so there's nothing. I don't really post stuff on there either. Facebook, I just post the YouTube links, and I think I've posted a thing or two from other stuff on there as well. But hey, bring people in. We always appreciate listeners. Comments are great, and I always remind people, you do not need to be an a-hole or be rude with your commentary. Constructive commentary is fine. But if you're going to be a jerk, I'm just going to delete your comment. It's not worth it here. That's not what we're promoting. We're promoting positive things. If you think I was mean about something, hey, say that. I feel you may have been a little aggressive or wrong or mean or cruel about this situation, blah, blah, blah. If you're going to tell me I'm insensitive about something, you're already wrong. I'm not insensitive about anything. I'm just speaking from my perspective on things, and there's nothing insensitive about that. But hey, maybe you still feel that way. I guess I can't say you can't feel that I was insensitive about something, but it is what it is. Be constructive, but be happy, be positive. That's what we need in the world, and things will get better. That's how they get better. Being positive, positive thinking. So, yes, please subscribe. The like button, the thumbs up here. I got a thumbs down. I mentioned this once before, and for some reason, that really burned me. And I couldn't figure out why that burned me so bad. And it's because I didn't know why they disliked the show. There was nothing there but a thumbs down. Okay, you didn't like it. What didn't you like? The sound of my voice? I have no idea. And it just bothered me that I couldn't correct something, or they didn't tell me what was wrong or what bothered them, and so there was nothing I could do, and it was just a void. That's all it ended up being, is a void of something. So, and it bothered me that I couldn't do anything about it. So, yeah, thumbs up, subscribe, In the Real here on YouTube. Really appreciate it, as always. See if we can bring back a little bit more of the Curiosity music here. Pick up where we left off. All right. Keep kind of low there for a little bit. I'll let it run for a few seconds when I sign off. And the link will be in the description, by all means. Check it out. I will be having another review of lightsabers coming up, so check that out as well. That whole Star Wars nerd thing. I have gone through the full 9 movie series 4 times total over the last 3 weeks. I'm starting number 5 probably this weekend. Can't get enough of that Star Wars trilogy. Hey, if anybody knows the director to Star Wars for 2022, is it? That next movie they're going to be making? I want a part in it. I don't care what it is. I'll take a part. I'll be the reincarnation of Mace Windu. Anyway, I'm your host, Eric, for In the Real. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. Again, subscribe, thumbs up. We will see you next time.